So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I feel like this is something that a lot of people pay for, but they don't know what they're getting. So the next topic we wanted to cover for this is SEO. What exactly am I paying for?
That is a question that a lot of our prospective clients and current clients that used to be prospective clients cannot answer. I've found, when people come to us from after, they know something about SEO, digital marketing in general, they are looking for a new company, oftentimes they have a current SEO provider and they're not happy for some reason or another. And so I often ask them, what are you paying for currently? How much are you paying? What are you getting?
And they don't know.
Very often they don't know, or they have a very vague understanding. And that's understandable to a point because SEO is kind of abstract. There's a lot of different things that can fall under that umbrella. So, it's understandable for the client, but, there's a lot of different things that can go into it. We already discussed earlier how a big part of our strategy is often content focused on page, on their website itself. And then we also talked about the fact that you also at the higher level, you should also be paying for the strategy, the research from SEO standpoint, keyword research, all of that, and also like the data analytics and reporting.
You brought up a really good point earlier when we were talking about it's not just about the deliverable, right? The deliverable, the content, the backlinks, et cetera, that's always part of it. But there's so much work that goes into, like, when we're creating an SEO proposal, there's so much work before they pay us anything.
Mm-hmm.
The research, the competitive analysis, the audience targeting, learning a little bit more about the business. And that's something that we do complimentary. As we start to do more and more, that may change. So if you're looking to get in cheap, do it now. No, but anyway, it's something. Sometimes I find when they're paying for things, they're paying for the wrong things, right? So how many times have we seen a proposal, and I mean, big numbers too. I mean, I've looked at other proposals from the people that have shared them. It's like, hey, here's the agreement I have. I'm like, what in the heck is this? I'm paying like $2,000 a month for 2 blog posts and social. And it's like the most generic, stock photoed, horrible, non-personal, and like it might get, what's that?
ChatGPT written
in social form. Yeah, it's like, but here
robotic.
Yeah, robotic. It's like, how many times have you seen the same picture of like the business guys? It's like,
right.
Like nobody looks like that. Like it's staged. Right? And it's like when you go through a social media, it's so obvious now because there's so much of it, right? When you go to a person's social or business's social media page and you just see this wall of like perfect looking, perfectly posed, perfectly staged media with this robotic generic stuff. And I won't stick too much on, blasting poor social media, but it sucks. It's obvious is what I'm trying to communicate.
Right.
And when you're trying to get additional conversions, first of all, that's like if they research you, right? They look at social, generic, horrible stuff. Now, they go to the site. If you're seeing that on like your social media posts, what are you going to see on your blog and FAQs? It's going to be 3 or 4 paragraphs with the stock photo of the most horrible things. It's just generic, not interesting. There's no spin on. There's no creativity. And unfortunately, a lot of people get grouped into these fancy agreements. I mean, I've seen the emails that people send. Most people probably get them in their inbox now, just spam. Do you want to rank number 1 in Google? Sure. We are experts. No, you're not. Right? But going back to the original topic, what are you paying for? Well, first of all, how much are you paying? And then what is your objective? Right? So if I'm in a more competitive landscape, such as like, e-commerce or injury law or something like that, where everybody's spending, big money, big product money or big, ranking money, because, I mean, think about it. What is one of those cases worth, right? Or even like in healthcare. In healthcare, SEO can be equally difficult because there's things you can't say, there's things you can't say. Financial industry, we work with quite a few people in that. It's the same thing. So part of your SEO is not just here's all the deliverables, but here's the specific things we can and can't say. Here's how we make it personable. Here's how we actually communicate who this company is. Because if you think about it, in the internet and social media, you meet the company before you actually meet them or talk to anybody, right?
I think that's one of the
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go first, I'll go.
No, I was going to say I think that's one of the best things that we provide as a company as a whole. We have a broad range of clients from a bunch of different industries, and to go to your car analogy earlier, you come to us and or you bring your car into a shop, and we're not going to the mechanic's not going to say you have a $4,000 problem.
Right.
When you come to us, for SEO, it's not a one size fits all plan.
You see a lot of those too. It's like a
absolutely.
generic
Like
spin.
you were talking about,
Yeah.
the emails that come at you, the spam,
This is our package, and
Right.
Right.
That's the other thing that you brought up too. That goes back to like the cost situation. Is that if you're locked into a contract, this company signs you, and after 1 or 2 months, you realize it's you want to give more time than that for SEO purposes.
I've had to have people wait
Right. Yeah.
10 months before they can even hire us because they're locked into something.
Right.
Like that.
But if you realize that it's not what you wanted or not what you expected, or the communication isn't there from the company, then that puts you in a really tricky situation.
I think that's something that we do that here. It's not commonplace. In a lot of the things that I've read, they say, oh, it's a bad business decision. You should always focus on the recurring revenue. It's like, no, I want to focus more on like the recurring relationship. Mm-hmm. And if I lock somebody into a contract, it's like, think about this. If you were like looking at SEO like dating, right, and you're like instantly marrying this person after the first week, and now you're locked in for a predetermined amount of time. What if it goes sour, right? What if something happens in month 2? You're like, this person's a maniac, or it's just not a good fit, right? You're not vibing. You're locked into that for a predetermined amount of time, and we don't practice that here for that reason. We always want to prove ourselves. We don't require the annual contracts for marketing or SEO unless it's something that's predetermined that we have to for a certain period of time, right? And it's openly and transparently discussed. Here's exactly what we're going to do. Here's exactly when this starts. Here's exactly when it ends. We'll readdress it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and often when we do that, we provide like a discount or something. But
yeah,
back
we've done that plenty of times too. Yeah,
Right.
if they bundle things together, obviously it's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. Back to the question though of like, what are you getting, that I also wanted to touch on is that we talked about the fact that it's kind of ambiguous what SEO even is. And I think we have a good balance here where it's deliverables, where there's concrete, this is what I'm getting. I know what I'm paying for. I know what their time went into, but also on the other side, the strategy behind it and some of those supplemental things as well. But the other thing I wanted to talk about really quick is that SEO is so many things. You already talked about social media. That affects SEO, your website itself, the technical part of things. So that could include, building a new website could be you investing in SEO in the long run. And that depends on if the company designing and developing your site understands SEO. You could go to a company that doesn't do SEO and just does the design or the development, and that can negatively affect your performance. And, just all those different things that tie into SEO. So even if you may or may not be paying for this or that, that all is a part of your plan. That all is part of SEO indirectly.
Well, and I just want to say too, it's rare when we create even like a design development proposal that doesn't include some type of baseline. If it's literally just a thing that they're going to market through social media and email campaigns or something like that, then generally speaking, those type of sites don't really need SEO because you're going to be manually paying money to throw traffic at it. But if it's any type of rebuild to where there's even the thought that they're wanting this thing to rank, we do have to have that baseline in place. And I've taken over sites where, like, you look at the homepage. I mean, it's like, look at the metadata of your homepage. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's try to rank for homepage.
Even worse, they have
or service 1 or service 2.
Like
it's
templated language in there that's like lorem ipsum, or like your pictures go here, or
your
something like that.
Photo goes here. Yeah,
I mean,
we're talking about some extreme examples, but it's comical because it just shows the attention to detail that as the business owner, like I like when you were talking about like the mechanic analogy, because think about it like this: when you take your car and something's broken, they're not going to say, this is how we're going to fix it, and here, I have to use this tool and this and that. What they're going to say is, okay, here's the problem, here's roughly the parts, here's the rough cost of each part. And I think that's reasonable for what you should expect in an SEO proposal. I mean, we do, for clients that request it, what kind of tools are you using? Well, we're going to use this to track it. We're going to use this to report it. This is an example of what it's going to look like. But I don't think that people, they're business owners. They're not expecting to be that involved. And we do welcome the people, if they want to be that involved.
They don't want to be babysitting us. They're doing this so that they don't have to handle it internally, and they want to know the company knows what they're doing, but doesn't have to involve them every step of the way oftentimes.
100%.
Another analogy would be like an injury lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, where you don't want to argue with an insurance company, you don't want to get subpoenas, you don't want to have to go to court, so you just hire somebody to take care of all that for you.
Right.
And they're communicative the whole time.
Yeah, and then you got to
100%.
answer a few questions, answer the phone every now and then. But
Well,
you don't
much
need
it's
to
not
know
your problem.
exactly
Holding
their
your
strategy.
hand, yeah, holding your hand, showing you exactly what it is.
Well, let's talk about another fact of like accessibility. It's not. This isn't so much just like what are you paying for in terms of SEO. It's also like what are you paying for from an agency or a group that you choose to do your marketing agreement with. Is that like with us, there's not this whole system that you have to go through to reach somebody. Hey, I have a question. Cool, let's set up a call an hour from now. Or they just call, right? Which works sometimes.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit distracting, but we try to be as accommodating as possible. But how many people out there do you think can actually just pick up the phone, call somebody and say, hey, I have a question about my marketing campaign and what's going on with it?
Yeah, and that's a big part of a benefit of an agency over like a freelancer is you have a full team, or an agency versus internal is you have this entire team dedicated to you and your account, and even though they're working on other accounts as well, but they are it's an entire business of people with different specialties and areas of expertise that are at your disposal, working for you, working toward your goal for your business.
Yeah, and freelancers are tough too because you run into all sorts of legal agreements that are usually non-existent. You don't know what you own.
Right.
What happens if this person
runs
off? I
right.
mean, there's big dangers. I mean, the cost is part of it for sure. Yeah, you can save some money going with the freelancer, and I'm not trying to hate on any freelancer. There's some of them that are really great. There's two problems that I noticed. One, that they usually don't have a holistic approach to something. It's like, hey, they've kind of found a knack for this.
Right. They're
got
one
some
person,
agreements.
they can't.
Yeah, and there's not really there's not a system set up. If this person doesn't do something, another one will catch it. You don't have people, because as human beings, we make mistakes. It happens.
Or you just get too busy and you
100%.
get overwhelmed.
Well, and that's what I was going to next is what happens when that freelancer gets too many clients, right? So that freelancer gets 5 or 6 clients. Oh, crap, now I've got this massive workload.
Well,
They're
then
only
they
one
could
person.
hire people and become a business themselves.
That's possible, and some of them do,
And
but usually...
they have to increase their prices if they do that.
Exactly.
Right.
Now you negate the whole price argument, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I feel like we've got that one.